back to the Intel Extreme Masters here in San Jose. You can see the beautiful SAP Center on your screen right now. Everybody kind of hanging out, milling about. That was a little bit earlier today as they were filling the arena we're in right now for the Intel Extreme Masters. And we just had Unicorns of Love facing off against Lyon Gaming for our first best of 3 of the day here over our weekend of matches. A bit of a scramble from both teams, more so for Lyon Gaming that they weren't able to grab a foothold. And then the scramble coming in for Unicorns of Love. After that top turret engagement, they just seemed scared to really rely on their own tactics.
Yeah, both teams, like we said, playing scared. And that's what I really want in this next game is just more balls. Like we had some Cinder balls, maybe add some Orianna, just a lot more balls in the game.
Yep. Balls is randomly going to sub in for their top lane.
Yeah, Balls is going to come in for the top lane.
Get some WWE music to kick in. He'll just come in from the river.
Well, Vizicachi, he had some balls. He dove once alone, 1v1, and then kind of snowballed that across the map, but just has to make it happen more often.
So we'll have to figure out how to round this out. And we're going to be able to pick some bands now.
Right, there's
Chase, Zed, Pantheon, the Warwick as well. Gnar will go out this time. We actually saw a little bit more of an offensive Gnar build coming from Vizicachi last game. It was interesting. Obviously, the Brutalizer we'll see sometimes coming out in those solo queue champs. I know I've seen West Rice and a few others build that, but then he went for that pickaxe and a bit more for the Frozen Mallet. So
I'm surprised
see what Vizicachi can do this game.
They early rotated LeBlanc in the last game, and then they, of course, blind picked it into Syndra, which is a counter pick, so I'm surprised they ended up leaving that up. I mean, I felt like it was a real problem for them.
Wow, the Aurelia first pick is quite odd.
Confusing.
I mean, we've seen the Lissandra like fall all the way through the draft in the first game, and that's been such a high priority pick in over in Korea, and it's been doing so well in those games. You have such great pushing power, such great crowd control. You can do so much with it.
Even in Europe, Lissandra was always like a staple pick.
Yeah,
it's bizarre that in North America's just not picked it up.
Yeah, it's a really good flex pick too. I mean, you don't have to just pick up for top lane. You can do the mid. Heck, man, somebody's gonna come out with support to Lissandra. I can already see it.
I think Eddie tried that once actually.
Oh, he did.
We did see that Lissandra being played by SKT, Marin and Faker kind of going at it as much as they could.
Marin was magnificent.
That was some scary stuff. It was definitely scary, but we're still waiting Lyon here, taking their time. And it looks like they're just going to wait this one out. This also doesn't give Unicorns of Love much to think about as they go into their next picks, which is pretty cool. A little bit of a mind game, but what are they gaining out of it? We haven't mentioned this guy too much with his remake. Sion could be making his debut here at Intel Extreme Masters, and that will be locked in. Be prepared to hear the gong. See that ultimate flying down the lane.
He's one of my favorite champions to watch, because when you mess up with him, it's like you just slam into the wall. And you just look like an idiot.
Is that going to be top lane Sion though?
Yeah, top lane is a typical choice for him. That's how he's been played in Korea. That's probably a jungle Kayle too.
Yeah, that's been really popular lately. He has really good clear speed with the Devour, and of course you also have the utility of the Kayle ulti as well. So if Sion's going to like be running into initiate on somebody and they get a pick, you can have Kayle ulti there to back that up. So I think it's a pretty good pick.
Very nice counter pick there, as he mentioned it. Braum going to be on the board this time as well, trying to block out some of those Corki bombs or rockets that just are coming in, if I can say it.
Hillesang had a decent game on Braum last game, but I don't think his ultis were that on point.
Yeah. I mean, they can be hard to hit sometimes. I mean, hey, what is it, Wayne Gretzky? You miss every 100% of shots you don't take. Come on now.
We're hovering Hecarim right now, and Soraka. Soraka also with the chains recently. Will we actually see her played this weekend, or are we just having a hover here, Snoopy?
No, Soraka has actually. I was speaking to a certain team about this, and they were telling me that, a certain team, just in case anyone's listening, but they told me that Soraka was actually seeing a bit of play in scrims. So we might see it come through.
What position?
Mid.
Oh, mid.
Yeah.
Bring it back to the old dig days.
I've seen it a lot in support in some of these scrims, and yes, Lion's going for the more balls strategy. I love it. Got the Orianna in there this time.
Is this the Poppy coming through?
And the Poppy. We didn't mention that got through this time.
Well, that would be Aurelia.
Pantheon going for that from last time as well. No, Panth was banned out. That's actually the Gnar, rather. So with those locked in, Maple Street not going to get his pick for the AD carry this time, but he may just want that Corki over the Lucian. And we'll see what happens. LeBlanc now for Power of Evil in mid. That's not the easiest matchup coming in for Orianna. That ball movement is really what hurts you in that engagement.
I think that's like a pretty big skill matchup, the Orianna versus LeBlanc. I mean, it's on Ori to just like farm safely and try to scale into the late game, because she outscales her way hard, but LeBlanc's gonna have the early game pressure for sure.
Now, looking at, obviously, question for, I'm going to go with you again, Saint. Looking at Kayle coming out of the jungle, how does that kind of provide the ganks? Where is she going to want to look? Because you got, with those lanes playing safe, it's not going to be the easiest.
I feel like Kayle is more for setting up people. Like, you can speed boost another person. Like, let's say you could speed boost Braum and he could get in, get his Q off, get a good ultimate off. I think it's more for setting up and for defending against. It's not really like a power ganker. It's more of a power farmer.
We've seen a lot of pressure coming off of Kiki's in the last game, playing as Xin Zhao. I don't think we're going to see that necessarily off the Kale. He's probably going to farm a little bit, wait till his team fights start happening, and then create an impact.
You got Evelyn, too. And Evelyn is actually a really good pick against Kale because you can remove the slow with your W. So really good for skirmishing. It's also really good AoE. The counter to Kale is just get a ton of AoE and just like kill. You hit everybody, so there's not one target that you can specifically ultimate.
All right. So we see the teams on the board. We have just a few more seconds left here in Champion Select. It kind of looks like Unicorns of Love just took 3 members of Lions from last time, 3 of their champions, and they're going to put it into play. We'll see how that happens. We are going to be taking a quick break before we get back to the game with Joe, D-Man, and Chad.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters here in San Jose. Once again, I'm joined by Lee Demon-Smith and Joshua Jack Leesman. And what a pick and ban phase that was. Soraka getting through, which is obviously a slight favorite of mine. I don't know if
D-Man wanted to say something, I think.
Actually, it doesn't. Yeah. Because apparently his microphone
Slight
broke. So we got bored of Demon in game number 1. So we're good. We basically unplugged his stuff here in the after picks and bans. So Jack, what do we think? Definitely a big switch up from game 1.
Well, the Soraka was like really exciting, obviously for everyone. Joe raised his arms in the air the instant it was picked because I can tell there's some genuine excitement right there. Aside from that, though, on the side of Lion, the Evelyn pick, I'm fully open to the opinion of being wrong here, but I don't think Eve is a very potent jungler in the new patch because she just can't clear the jungle without taking a huge amount of damage. So unless Eve can take over the game right at the start, I don't see any sustained farming options on this team, and it is really all in the hands of that Eve to do well early.
And I actually saw, I can't remember who it was on Twitter that was saying, you know, Evelyn's actually surprisingly decent right now. You seem to disagree with that somehow, but we'll see how this one moves forward. Also want to talk about the top lane there, the early Aurelia pick from Vizichachi into then a Sion pick over on the other side. What do we think to him overall right now and in that top lane specifically?
Yeah, well, I definitely think the Aurelia pick right away was great, knowing that in the first game, Lion let through a Gnar because they thought they could counter it with Aurelia, basically goes and tells you that the Aurelia pick is really, really strong for Lyon Gaming. So Unicorns of Love taking that away should immediately put Lion in an uncomfortable situation. The Sion is another thing I'm really excited for because he's a big wall in top lane we haven't seen that much of, but I think the Aurelia pick from Vizichachi will put him out on top of Porky.
Well, here we go into game number 2. It's the Unicorns of Love that are 1-0 up in this best of 3 quarterfinal. Of course, the winner of this one will be headed through into the later semi-final today against TSM, and that's already a lot of damage down from Power of Evil, getting the better of his opposite number already in these early stages. Kale, of course, in the jungle here for Kikis. Kikis been known as a very aggressive jungler in the past. The times that we've seen him playing in his many previous teams, I think it's fair to say, sometimes goes a little bit too aggressive.
Yeah, you can say that time and time again. The Kayle jungle is something that can rightfully be aggressive. If he has a good amount of health and he can actually land his Q onto someone to get that slow, it is a huge amount of damage. And like I think it was Saint was saying on the analyst desk, the Devour item on him, which is the magic damage on hit, synergizes so well with Kayle's natural shred and just general attack speed focused kits. So it is a very strong late game scaling jungler, as well as having some good dueling power early. It could potentially be a pick we end up seeing a lot of in the future.
So down on this bottom side of the map, and the start once again for AD carry and support. What are we going to see over the other side? It looks like a mirror image to what we saw in game number 1. So as we were expecting, Kikis actually will start off on his red buff, which is a change from the last game.
Yeah, it's like a slightly broken mirror right here. He didn't take very much damage from it, and he's obviously very good at this. What he did on Kayle is he was using his range advantage to not take much damage from the red. He then smite it to get, or smoked it, someone say, to get the extra healing done. And we may end up seeing some counter jungle stuff, knowing that Eve is a slightly weak jungler. He could be looking for a little bit of a scrap.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Welcome back.
Hey. They can't keep me quiet, that's for sure, even if they're trying to break my mic.
This is really smart right here. I don't think he'll get aggressive until he sees where he goes, and then he's going to try and kill him on his buff.
Oh, the act didn't even bother checking.
Yep, and Eve generally doesn't stay in the brush to kill it because she's trying to line up her hate spikes. He's in a lot of trouble. Let's just say that again.
Oh, and he's got the ward coverage. He knows exactly.
Gonna come around here. The red buff burning, keeping him slow. He's got a flash here, no doubt about it. Does go away. Soraka comes in with a heal as well. And Thiak, whilst he survives, he's gonna lose out on a blue buff, and he's got no flash left.
We talked about Eve having a hard time later in the jungle. With that type of early disaster, just by the way, I love the adaptation there by Kikis, because in the first game, we were talking about how the mind game is going to evolve. We know the bottom lanes are killing the camp to try and get level 2. Therefore, the jungler should have to start on the other side for optimal jungling. Specifically, Eve, who is a weak clearing early jungle, has to start over by the Krugs to get a jungle that works. And he got read like a book. Kikis changed up his path, pre-planned the game, and pulls a huge advantage early.
So we'll see how Lyon Gaming can adapt. Can they recover from this early advantage Unicorns of Love have gained off this cheeky little buff invade? Currently down the bottom. You know, there was a lot of questions on Vardax and Hiliasang back when they qualified for the LCS, but they are putting that pressure back onto Maple Street and Dodo, who themselves, of course, have qualified for the North American LCS with Team 8, obviously coming in as substitutes. So both bot lanes really out to try and prove something here in their first big tournament outside of the LCS. Meanwhile, the mid lane pairing, a lot of pressure on Power of Evil. Can he perform in this big stage? And so far, you know, the last game, there was a lot of pressure on him. I mean, there was complete focus on him, honestly, from Thiak, constantly trying to gank him. They realized, obviously, he was a problem as Porky gets bullied out of the lane, but he really has done a good job. We're going to see how it works out, of course, with LeBlanc this time around.
Yeah, and remember, when the Thiak ganks weren't working, Dodo came and tried to help as well, and then eventually they could get kills, but the amount of pressure he attracted to himself in the mid lane, Power of Evil that is, was crippling for Lyon Gaming, and now that he has LeBlanc in his command instead of playing against it, it might get worse.
Oh, they may go for the dive for your Porky. Very low, but only a level 3 Kayle, level 5 for Vizzy Chachi. And you know, that's the thing, they focus so heavily on Power of Evil. We saw that last game, it allowed Vizzy Chachi on Gnar to completely free farm and dominate that lane. So far, it looks to be going in a very, very similar way for them. And with Thiak having that bit more of a dodgy start, I think we can safely say it. That doesn't make it any easier for him to help out Porky on this top side of things. Obviously, he's going to be getting tanky. We saw the chain vest was picked up there first of all for Porky to try and just help him out in that lane.
The Scion is going to be a wall up there eventually. Actually, some big aggression. They caught Soraka. Soraka cannot heal herself.
No, she is definitely going down here. Question is, who do they give it to? Of course, it will be Vardax. Vizichachi did come down, didn't get an assist for that. It's a bit of a wasted teleport, honestly, but teleports he was using very well in game 1.
He really was, and it's something that Lyon was not able to do, maybe lack of communication. They talked about it on the analyst desk as well. It doesn't seem like it is a team in sync, which makes sense because they are playing with 2 subs here with Maple Street and Dodo in that bottom lane.
Yeah, a bit of a mixed team lineup, if you like, as Power of Evil going to go in on towards Seer. Does get the chains off, but not going to go even further there and use that Ignite to try and finish him off. There was an exhaust for Seer, who also had his Shockwave available should he have needed it. Meanwhile, since Vizichachi's gone back home, Porky has really pushed heavily on this lane, going to get himself some CS back, and in fact takes the lead on that front, but he's now also trying to do turret damage. Meanwhile, Evelyn going to come down the bottom, and we'll see if the invisible threat really can do the work here in this bottom lane.
It's all about getting into that brush, but they were not able to get the lane shoved enough, and Eve now has no flank position for this gank. She's hoping that she can sneak around, but that is just a bunch of recalling champions. They do not see Eevee as of yet. There it is.
Gonna catch on towards him, doesn't manage to do much damage, just the one single hate spike coming through. Does make him back away though.
While we do have a minute, I actually do want to talk about how Thiak recovered.
Whoa, do we have a minute? I'm not sure
No,
we
we
do.
don't.
Sia's going down. First blood could, well, second blood maybe. will be coming in.
If it
First
wasn't-
blood for Power of Evil though.
If it wasn't for that last auto attack, Power People definitely knew his Ignite tick damage. That kill would not have happened. So really great presence of mind to stick in the turret for that one extra auto and pull off that kill. Let me know when we have a minute.
I think we got one.
You sure? Okay. The big thing I want to talk about for Thiak is so when the jungle was changed for this upcoming season, one of the big things that happened to the red buff and the blue buff is more of the experience from those smaller monsters, so not the giant golem himself. When Kiki's counter jungled him at the start of the game, he actually left the small ones because he was hoping to deny him a blue buff, but he may not have realized the huge experience discrepancy that he created for himself. Think back a few minutes when they were both in the top lane. Kayle was level 3 despite theoretically 3 buffing the Eve, and Eve was level 4. Therefore, Thiak went bottom lane at level 5, got lane experience for level 6. He's not behind in the slightest because the counter jungling, despite being so brilliant in its conception and execution of getting the blue buff to begin with, because he didn't clear the camps, he didn't get an advantage.
Kikis should be hitting level 6 here shortly though after he finishes off that red buff, and does in fact do that, so has his intervention available for the next time that should be needed. We'll finish off the Raptors and we'll see if he actually goes in towards either of these lanes. That mid lane, of course, really the prime example for that one. We saw already Seer taking a bit of damage, of course, going down to Power of Evil a little earlier on as well. However, he maintains that CS lead, albeit a slight one, thanks to the fact that he is Orianna. But is he going to be fast enough? There is a counter gank from Thiak. Kikis is going to fall pretty low from this one, forced to actually flash away rather than using his intervention there.
Yeah, the Eve counter gank, even without using the ultimate, I really need to pay attention to this Eve because unless she's massing health potions, clearing the jungle makes her extremely low. The way Thiak is going to play this, I think, is just non-stop ganking and potential counter jungling. With the double longsword, it's not going to scale very well later on. It looks like he's going for the warrior enchantment as far as jungle items go, which just isn't the same as the Spirit of the Elder Lizard used to be. Pretty much has to make his impact right now, trying to make it around wards. And with one flash burn in the mid lane, with a flank gank in the bottom, let's see if he can do it.
This could well be the impact they want. Thiak comes around, will get slightly spotted. They're going to go straight up towards Vardux, flashes away early. Is it going to be enough? Glacial Fisher did land on towards him, but they don't have the damage, and Hillisang leaps back towards him. Porky comes around. There's going to be one going down. Hillisang's running for his life, but Thiak could well get himself a double. He does! And a clean run from Lyon Gaming, getting themselves going. Oh, Thiak tries to juke it, gets the heal off, and I think he's done enough to get away from Power of Evil. Beautifully played.
What a sweet play all around by Lyon right there. Using the teleport at the right time. Sion looked like he came out of nowhere on our screen, and now maybe trying to control this dragon. Eve out of mana, no flash on Kikis for a steal, but he's trying to damage them over the wall.
Well, it's going to have to do something here because that dragon down to 1300 HP already. Should be finished off. There's Power of Evil diving in, but it's Corki that finishes off the dragon. The first one of the game here going over to Lyon. Leaves them just a couple of 100 gold behind with that first dragon. We'll see if they can utilize that here to really push out and, you know, try and get an advantage against Unicorns of Lovers, which they just weren't able to do at all in game number 1.
Not at all. Well, they did get the first dragon because of a steal.
That's true.
This is much better circumstances of actually getting the first dragon without sacrificing your life is probably the preferred way. Soraka as well has a very interesting new kit. We haven't actually gotten to talk about it very much. Being able to heal pretty much every 2 seconds to second and a half at the cost of her own life when you are very far ahead and the other team can't close to your backline to pick off Soraka, it really feels overpowering in some ways. Like, statistically, it's not, but in this case, it can feel brutal if they get ahead, especially with the shields of Orianna, to combo with someone trying to be killed and a giant tank like Sion. There is some good team composition stuff Lyon can pull off if they can maintain a lead.
And talking about that, Sion obviously has felt heavily behind Vizicachi and Farm, but the teleport was effective. He got 2 assists, and that will give him that gold differential. We do see Kiki's making his way up here. Porky is about to face check on towards him, tries to put the ward down. Looks like he's in trouble. I don't think his ultimate will help him here to try and bash away. He will try and chase down on Kikis, but I don't believe he's going to have the damage to finish him off. It does give him a chunk, but Kikis will just run away from him, and Porky will go down.
He did push him off the ward, though. So small amounts of benefit after that death to maintain his ward's life in that top lane, but he was just caught in too bad of a position, and his ultimate was just about to come up. He would have tried to use that to run away. Bad timing for him. Great timing by the KL and Aurelia to get that kill, and again, that lane is totally one-sided. Vizicachi has been destroying Porky in that top lane.
Now the middle lane might come under focus. Power Reveal doing some harassment there on to see her a little bit earlier on. Once again, the chains will go off. Kikis actually coming in, which means that Evelyn will back away. This bottom lane is where it's really juicy though, because Vardags is pretty low, down to less than half HP. Turret goes down in the top lane as well, which is incidentally the first one of the game. Evelyn once again sneaking into the bottom lane, and really harassment across the map. Unicorns of Love need to be real careful right now.
Absolutely. The bottom lane is pretty much the only thing at this point that I feel like can win the game for Lyon, with Porky falling so far behind and the Morellonomicon LeBlanc pressure that is happening in the mid lane. They need those Evelyn ganks down there to work, but they couldn't get a flank position down, and now he is completely scouting the jungle. He's a squishy little Eve.
Oh, and he spotted out as well. They had a good ward on by about the Gromp, and it will get locked down. Power of Evil gets himself his second kill of the game, and that could turn some aggression on towards the bottom lane. You can see there was a ping ward down there. Kikis should have spotted it. He has going to clear that one out, so he'll clear that from the bush. And now there's going to be some pressure on the turret. Porky uses his ultimate to run away. It's an interesting use of ultimate, but I guess he was under pressure from Vizicachi.
That's a lot of trouble up in that top lane. I do want to highlight that last kill, though, by Power of Evil. It looked to me like he mimicked his chains, which, if you land both procs of it, is the highest damage mimic, and it's exactly what he needed to do in order to get that kill. It's the hardest one to land. It has a lot of conditional factors on it, but because he chose that exact choice, he powered through the heal of Soraka and got the kill, which honestly I feel like caught them by surprise.
Puts him at 2-0-0 as well at level 10. Gonna be scary, and once again he goes in towards Sia as he comes back into that lane. Vizicachi has also come down to the mid, so could be well about pushing some towers. Dragon is not up for 2 minutes. Kikis will be recalling there, so about getting a couple of wards down. Of course, Vizicachi has already killed off Porky's turret in that top lane, and now he's going to get the opportunity to do some damage to Seiya as well. And, well, Trinity Force on Irelia means that he can just run around this map, do damage to pretty much everyone. We've already seen that Porky has used his ultimate, apart from that bottom lane, which was quite cool. pretty much about charging away from danger rather than getting involved.
That goes against Sion's entire lore. He's supposed to be running into the fight, never stopping, but some players will do what they may with him, and it has not gone well since that first Sion gank, as you were saying. The second dragon that will be coming up around 1 minute I think is Unicorn of Love's time to take the game back over with the completed Merlinom, Conley's large rod, and that Triforce. They're going to actually go a minute before the Dragon.
Oh, good shockwave though. Pulls in Vizichachi and Power of Evil. It will maybe stop this one dead in his tracks. Porky is there. His ultimate's not available to him though. Can he land his damage on towards Vizichachi? He's already been taken low. The rest of Lyon do react well to this. Come around in a good group. Sonic Wave, of course, Shockwave was already used. And that means there will be no attack. Ultimate from Porky. Keep your eye on that timer. He may well decide to dash as soon as it's up.
Well, even Orianna both use their ultimates right there, so Unicorn of Love have no reason not to continue this push.
Whoa, Maple Street completely out of position. The Culling gonna come across. It'll be a lot of damage. Meanwhile, Fiak is gonna go low as well. There is Power of Evil diving in. The exhaust came far too late there out of Dodo. Not able to keep the jungler alive. Maple Street did survive. Had to use Summoner. No, he didn't use Summoner Heal. That came, I think, from Dodo off to the side. But either way, they lose that kill. Power of Evil once again going in. Still manages to get those chains down. Where are they going to push next? This turret is so critically low. If not this push, then maybe a couple of waves afterwards. Either way, Dragon is up now, and it's basically a 5 versus 4 for that. With the jungler gone, they need to be careful about face checking.
Well, they're going to try and catch on. Hilisan goes deep, but he's taken a lot of damage. Teleport comes back out from Vizichachi. Couldn't quite get across. I think he failed flash actually trying to get on there. But you can see both Porky very low from this one, having to back away. Vizichachi going through the back of the tower. Taking a hell of a lot of damage in the process. Maple Street flashes. Can he finish it off? Tries to get one more rocket. Is it going to be enough? The big bomb, no! And Vizichachi gets away. Very close fight between these two teams, but this time around, Unicorns of Love, they have to back off. And that may well gift the Dragon back to Lyon for their second pickup.
That was a pretty sweet fight, and because no one could close on Soraka, she was topping everybody up and keeping them alive. Vizichachi tried to finish the dive onto Porky. He picked the wrong target. It was Dodo 8. 2 dragons to 0 despite this gold deficit. We talked about some of the stat gains you get as the game gets later and later. That 2,000 gold deficit may actually be a lead if Lyon can amass enough attack damage and ability power.
Well, let's see how they go there. Trinity Force for Corki, Sunfire Cape for Sion, and despite the fact that Vizichachi has pretty much dominated him in both games so far in lane, he's going to be getting so very tanky and will be a hard threat to deal with for the Unicorns of Love. They are, however, going to take down their second tower of the game. No one to defend that. In fact, it'll be 3 right off the bat. All outer turrets now down, and this is where we see how Unicorns of Love can hold on to the map, can control it, get in there, and you see instantly they move into the blue side of the Lyon jungle, and they're going to get wards everywhere. Try and take the jungle camps with them as well.
Yeah, they are regaining control. They've had some bad circumstances to get rid of these 2 dragons, and they really need to make sure that they focus on the next one, because we're in a rare situation where the team with control of the game has not been able to control the dragons. Power of Evil.
He's going to keep harassing. He's going to keep harassing. He's not worried about this. There's no tower.
There he goes.
Can go all the way. There's the ultimate running away from him. And that is how you get out of a gang. Kind of want to use it going the other way at some point, though.
I mean, he's staying alive, at least.
That's true. It's true.
Yeah. Only 1 death. That's kind of what they're trying to do right now. They're just trying to avoid death and hope they can control dragons. I've been in a few games like this, and it's a really strange feeling of League, and you're constantly on your back foot. It's not the same as old the turtling used to be, where you'd sit at your turret and try and farm, because you have to maintain some semblance of control. And he can't get caught like that.
Yeah, that's a good shockwave coming back now. Hilisan surely will go down. He's actually got away thanks to his shield. Seiya now will surely fall. There's a double. It could well be a triple as Barnex flashes in. Kikis will actually steal that one. But that is a 4 for nothing. Yes, a lot of men low for the Unicorns of Love, but only Sion here who could do his ultimate to charge in and stop them taking this turret.
Yeah.
It's not up. Oh no, but honestly, the linchpin right there for Lyon Gaming was the Soraka going down. The last fight where they barely won by not dying, basically, was because nobody could close and Soraka could continue to heal. But this time, Dodo was the first to fall. There was no protection for the rest of the team, and Unicorns of Love just piled on to the rest of them. 4 quick kills, their 4th turret of the game, and a 6,500 gold lead. I mean, right there, you could tell they were trying to set up a flank. not a good idea when they're this far behind, and they really just did not have adequate vision control. Yeah, they had some more wards deep into the jungle of Unicorns of Love. They would actually know who was coming, but to have Soraka that far up in the map without turret support is rather foolish, especially with Dragon not being up shortly.
And we're talking about Porky. I hate to put it back on him with that ultimate obviously down. He was teleporting in. But if I had the ultimate, he'd have caught 3 of them straight after that shockwave, but he cancelled it. It's just like, well, Dodo's down. This is all going wrong. But yeah, they could have had a cleanup. Just coulda, woulda, shoulda. All fought Lyon Gaming. But at the moment, they are falling heavily behind once again, just like game 1. The question is, will Unicorns of Love make the mistakes they made in game 1, or will they close this one out much quicker? Porky in trouble, and I feel that ultimate may well be used to dash again. He's got support this time around. Thiak's coming in. He's trying to bait it around. He's going to suddenly turn this into a 2-on-1. Is it going to be enough, though?
Oh,
you can see
he's going for him.
Vizichachi runs out, dodges away from it. The heal gets out there. Is it enough? The shield has to be used. He survives, and Thiak gets the kill.
Score 1 for Porky and Thiak right there. They were able to take down the monster that has been Vizichachi these last few games. It took a whole lot as well in order to do that, and they will try and use that to gain some pressure back on the map. They really have to get the lane shoving in some way so that Unicorns of Love doesn't have complete freedom.
And Power of Evil now going to move towards this bottom lane. I say Power of Evil, there are 4 of them there actually. And what is the defense looking like? I think 3 men defending currently for Lyon on this turret. We'll see if they can actually clear this one out quick enough. Maple Street needs to be careful not to get stunned up there. And there is actually the teleport coming in. Vizichachi is going to join in this fight. And this is surely the inner turret going down. Meanwhile, Power of Evil going towards Maple Street. Vizichachi dives in. The exhaust not enough to keep them alive. They get a tower and they get a kill.
That was a sweet move right there by Vizichachi. I don't think any of us expected them to go that deep and actually get the kill on a Maple Street. But as we've seen, when Maple Street is down, they're going to push against them. Unicorns of Love might want some more here.
As an AD carry, when you see an Aurelia flash and Blade Surge on towards you, you're like, oh, I'm in trouble. He had flash available. He just could not get out of it quick enough. He was completely locked down. So Unicorns of Love take themselves their 5th tower of the game, just the top inner turret remaining before they start hitting up that base. Lyon Gaming themselves, well, that top turret was the only one they got. Kick is going to take down this crab, and that's going to give them vision just around the dragon with 40 seconds to go. Perfect timing.
Yes, and that's exactly what I want to talk about. The perfect timing on the crab right there. So often, I see people just take it because it's there. They spend 15 seconds on it. They miss a team fight. They get counter jungled. They die because it chases them too far. You want to take it right before an objective is going to be contested, because now, A, Lyon cannot take it without being seen, and B, if there is a fight in this area, Lyon can't really run away over that ward because it is a huge move speed shrine, and Unicorns of Love will be able to chase them down. Dragon in 10 seconds. Lyon is in a lot of trouble.
Especially when Unicorns of Love got such a mobile team here as well. We'll see what goes down. There's a pink ward inside of the Dragon Pit. There's one in the Death Brush, along with a normal ward as well, which means that they will keep vision. Scrying Orb actually used on the backside, and we are going to see Vizichachi. He's waiting on the back here. Who's he going to dive for? They may not have all that many targets by the end of it. Thiak is low. Seiya will have to flash away as well, but the rest of the team dives through. That is incredible.
Oh my God!
Maple Street gets himself the Quadra. Can he get in? Finish off Vizichachi here? I don't think he can, but it doesn't matter. 4 kills just like that.
Holy cow!
Dragon as well.
I can't believe it. What a miraculous shockwave that was out of nowhere. They tunnel
Through the choke point. Okay, so many things went the wrong way for Unicorns of Love there. I can't even begin to describe it. They're still up 4,000 gold, by the way. All right. Aurelia needs to close on to Soraka. Going for the Orianna doesn't do anything for them. The ultimate comes off. You have to get rid of the healing. A, they could not control Ori, and they funnel into this minuscule choke point. 4 people get hit by a shockwave, and a Scion Axe, and Corky missiles. Everything hit. All their AoE abilities were quadrupled in effectiveness because they hit 4 people. That's the quadra kill. That's the 3rd dragon, and somehow Lyon is holding on.
Sadly, Porky, he used his ulti, but he was just a little too late to catch on Vizichachi. It'll happen soon enough, guys.
At least he had a full charge.
Yeah.
Scion Q. That thing almost never hits 1 person. It hit 4.
Yeah, and that's actually, I was focusing. I even missed the shockwave during that fight because I was watching Vizicachi on the backside. He actually had no vision of Soraka over the wall there, which is why he has to walk all the way around. And while they just walked into the trap, meanwhile, Power of Evil trying to have a go onto Thyak here. He'll go down to half HP again, though. A big heal coming around, which means that Lyon might actually chase this. There is a teleport from Porky. Where's the ultimate? Is he going to use it in the right direction?
They should be careful here.
There is Vizicachi diving in. Thyak's going to go low. They actually use an early intervention there, but the chase is on from the Unicorns of Love.
Porky's still hanging on to the ultimate, hasn't turned it around. Power of Evil's just picking him up and devastating. Dodo goes down, extinct once again. He's in all sorts of trouble. Power of Evil is really doing what he pleases, held on to his DFG as well, didn't even need to use that. And now they're actually looking to turn towards Baron.
Yeah, that was a huge case of overconfidence right there from Lyon Gaming. Yes, they won the last fight, but that's because Unicorns of Love over-engaged and grouped up for a shockwave right there, putting Soraka in the danger zone right there, leaving Dodo out to dry, and not having the team fight potential was crushing. Let's see if they can ward this Baron. It's getting a little bit low, but what are they really going to do? They want to poke him down.
Can Maple Street be the hero? Not this time around. It will be finished off by Kikis, who will smite down that Baron, and now the pressure really going to be on. And they need these quadra kills and the amazing combos that we saw before. Shockwave into the 4-man Scion knockup, with Maple Street just hammering down the damage afterwards. That's happened. That great coordination has happened once over 2 games, I think we can safely say. So not going to be easy. Never really is to line up those kind of things unless your opponents funnel in, as Unicorns of Love did before. But now having such a solid lead. Got some big items actually coming through there as well. Obviously that DFG for Power of Evil means that you can 100-0 pretty much everyone, I think, except Porky there.
Yeah, and that's the danger, honestly. You don't often get that combination too many times in a game. And like, they've had their one combo, they've got the quadra kill, they've got 3 dragons. Let's not beat around the bush. That's a good buff, and they're getting very close to getting the massive buffs. If you can get that 5 on the board, you have gigantic stats. You're arguably better than a Baron by any chance, which of course Unicorns of Love do have that Baron right now, but they're not doing a great deal with it. It's more a Baron of opportunity. Does look like they're going to get that final inner turret, though, in the top lane.
And we really do need to talk about the Baron buff and its implications on this particular game. So what Baron buff does, it has lost the regen that it had last year, but the minions are ridiculously empowered. These siege minions, as far as champions hitting them, all that stuff, they're like 4 to 5 times harder to kill, meaning fights have to happen. The last thing you want is to lose a player before the fight even happens, because they cannot wave clear if people are next to these minions. Basically, Lyon has to force a team fight as quickly as possible. Aurelia on one side, you just need one person to empower the minions, and one person against them cannot clear those minions. So Unicorns of Love has the potential, since they got the kill right here, to actually clear 2 inhibitors.
Yeah, and between Vardags, Kale, Vizicachi, there's a lot of tower damage to come through as well. Power of Evil actually stepping forward there. We'll just try and keep them zoned away. The turret actually down to half HP, so Unicorns of Love taking out the jungler will take out that inner turret and a good chunk onto the inhibitor turret as well. The question is, will they stick around and try and get even more? You've always got to be careful, because Power of Evil, we've seen how willing he is to just dive in there and try and finish off one man.
Yeah, a Siegebreaker can definitely be LeBlanc if she jumps over the sidewall in just the right way. And let's just see how much damage they can actually get down on these turrets. He does get hit by Shockwave, but does not take the damage.
Intervention used by Kikis. That will keep him safe for now. Thyak taking a lot of damage. Will get locked up by the chains. They do have enough to finish him off. Power of Evil gets the kill. And that tower now very, very low. Here comes Vizicachi joining the fight. Takes a big burst, getting the exhaust drawn on towards him. Hillisang locked up, stunned down, taken down. Sia picks the kill up there. Power of Evil. Now Porky with the ultimate, not landing once again. Vizicachi looking to turn back around, but it seems the Lyon have defended for now, but it's only a fight. They are surely going to lose. That tower next to no health on it. The Baron buff worn off. They can live to fight another day.
Quite honestly, Unicorns of Love abandoning the split push right there and having Vizicachi join the team, I think was a little bit ill-fated. They, as well, overdove a little bit with the Braum, something that happened in the previous game as well. And the timing of that was atrocious, because the only way Lyon wins this game is if they get to 5 dragons. It's up in 8 seconds, and they might actually beat them to the spot. It's going to be close, though. Porky doesn't quite have teleport up. And he didn't have vision. That's why he didn't want to continue on.
They are taking the blue buff on that one side. We'll go over to Seiya, but Maple Street might want to try and steal that away. There is the crab again. Not that they particularly need it this time, although that speed boost could help them to move in there. The Dragon's going to go down before Lyon can get anywhere near that one. So nice little pick up here for Unicorns of Love. Where are they going to go next, though? Actually, the waves are pretty much at the halfway line in every single lane. So need to make sure that they start those pushing out. And look at this Power of Evil. Going to dive in on towards Sayak. There are the chains coming down. DFG used late. Will it be enough? I don't know if it is. Busy Chachi comes in from the side. One more will do it. No, the shield comes out from Seiya. He survives, but will they now push after that one? They've got 3 men down the bottom lane with LeBlanc and Irelia in the second.
And the big problem for Lyon Gaming is while they did get those 3 dragons, that one dragon the Unicorns of Love have picked up here has given them enough. I mean, if that's the 8% buff, that is the 8% ability power. Certainly gives them a big old chunk. And really, despite the fact they're already up to 3, Lyon, really their only advantage they had in this game is kind of slipped away from them. They are pushing out, though. They're going to try and be forceful. They want to try and take this middle tower, maybe. And Unicorns of Love are out of position, honestly. They could, well, go for it.
And this game is at least close enough that if Lyon Gaming can get another Miracle team fight, they'd still be in position to make something happen. Because the power of the empowered minions from Baron buff, if somehow Lyon Gaming were to win a fight and get the Baron buff, one more mistake from Unicorns of Love with empowered minions is the game. Because it takes so long for the towers to actually kill those empowered minions, not to mention if they can still somehow sneak 2 dragons. So they have actually a very low percentage chance of winning, but if we just contrast it to the last season, there's still things they can try to do before it's like, well, I guess we should try and get a pick. Maybe then we'll do something good. But if they can actually control some objectives, if they can sneak a Baron, steal a Baron, sneak a Dragon, steal a Dragon, they still have a slight chance. Plus, their inhibitor wall is still intact. Those very difficult to break turrets are still alive.
And now it looks like the Unicorns of Love setting up for the next spawning of this Baron. Less than 1 minute to go on that, and already we see Lyon moving out somewhat. The scrying orbs, of which there are, funnily enough, 2 for the Unicorns of Love, none for Lyon at the moment, which you'd say around Baron especially really does play in towards Unicorns of Love's favor. We'll see what they do. Actually going to run a ring around, but there was a ward. Will be disabled. They probably need to get away. There's a lot there from Lyon. There is Power of Evil diving in, but he got burst down heavily at the start. This time will fall. There's the shockwave. Now the rest of them trying to run away. Busy Chachi dives back into the middle, but he gets exhausted. They now have turned this one around with the arrival of Vardax. Kiki's trying to follow through as well, but they need to be very, very careful. In the end, it ends with a 1-for-1.
I actually really liked Lyon's positioning in that last fight, and it was really Kikis who is the one who turned it around for Unicorns of Love. Despite being outflanked at the very start, a flash over the wall for a point-blank Scion, and it was really just Kale in the right position, raining down terror with those ranged auto attacks, and now they're going straight for the Baron. Jungler is dead. Steal opportunity, very unlikely.
Well, he's going to try it. Not going to happen. And Kikis smites it down. So, Unicorns of Love with their second Baron now on top of them. Added on top of that 1 dragon buff is going to give them a fairly sizable advantage. And, you know, Lyon Gaming were doing everything right coming up to that fight. They had all the lanes pushed in their favor. They just needed to get that one fight won. And it started out going their way, but just the simple difference, the power, the gold, the items that Unicorns of Love had built up before that fight was clearly too much. They just couldn't sustain that damage, and you only need to look at Power of Evil now. 6-1-3 and Death Gap completed with that DFG and Morellonomicon. He is going to do some serious punishment if he can get a hold of Maple Street or Dodo. Or in fact, anyone, honestly.
Pretty much. He is... And it's the poke type of assassination damage, too, where it's very difficult to counter unless they land just the right thing. I still feel like Unicorns of Love is playing quite suboptimally, not quite to their potential. Specifically, Vizichachi has had such a huge advantage in lane, but hasn't actually transitioned that as majestically as he could, to use a big, non-fitting word right there. But the Dragon Control by Unicorn of Love has been lax. If they want to win IEM San Jose here, they're going to have to play better. This is a game that they should be winning, and honestly, I think they should be winning much harder. Giving up 3 dragons and giving a quadra kill 4-for-0 team fight over to a team that was 7,000 goal behind. doesn't bode well. They need to get their bearings.
Yeah, I mean, a team like TSM probably going to punish you for those kind of, dawdling and not really pushing your advantages out. So we'll see what changes. I mean, they've not won this game just yet. Looking, however, like they possibly will. And that's the problem when Power of Evil dives in. There's no instant crowd control to actually stop him. Like, Syndra in that last game, we said if LeBlanc dives in, you can stun her up, but there's nothing too quick enough, really, from Lyon to actually do that.
And here's the rub, because Soraka can actually create an instant silence zone where LeBlanc is. Funnily enough, Soraka can silence LeBlanc. LeBlanc no longer is allowed to silence people. But if he can place it in the right spot, he can potentially stop some of the burst. The risk is, if he wants to be in range of doing that silence, he might die himself, and if Dodo dies, the fight is over. So it's not actually that great of a counter.
Well, it's a siege that it is on once again, and we'll see whether Power of Evil is able to break that siege. You can see the bound up buff minions coming through. There is Power of Evil pouring a gigantic chunk of damage down on both Dodo and Thyak. They made the mistake of standing next to each other, and they've been burst down. Now it's a 3v5 defensive position while they run back to the fountain and try and heal themselves up. It seems they will survive, but again, Unicorns, they're trying to make this buff, they're trying to make this play with the Baron buff, but they haven't got the other lanes pushed in their favor yet. You can see the top lane is working down, but it's not enough to draw the attention. Instead, they're just gonna dive.
Yeah, in there, and actually we see Kikis using an intervention on his own, and that will be an interesting move. It was all about finishing off the tower, leaving that exposed inhibitor in the bottom lane, and that may just be what Unicorns of Love need here to break through. That top turret, of course, did take some damage earlier on, so that one's kind of ripe for the taking at this point. It looks like they're backing away, want to get themselves another dragon, get a couple of stacks on that front going.
Yeah, that's now 2 stacks for Unicorns of Love and 3 stacks for Lyon Gaming. So we're probably not going to see a monster 5 dragon buff here. It's very important we see the crab respawn after the dragon is done, because they get a move speed buff where they're not going to be for quite a while. Just Unicorns Love, the reason they're taking this slow, whether you want to call it scared play or sloppy play, at this point, it's smart play, because their composition completely outscales Lyon. Kayle versus Eve isn't even a conversation as far as power at this point of the game, and Lucian, we all know, can outscale Corki with more overall damage.
Oh, Kikis using the ultimate on himself, just forcing Thyak away from that one. The inhibitor will drop down as the Unicorns of Love just rotate around, possibly moving towards the mid lane. Can they draw any kills en route? But Lyon just in defensive mode now. Really, we're just unable to do anything in the defense of that inhibitor, and that has now opened up a giant hole in the bottom. Looks like they are going to follow up that stack of minions up there. They're going to push on the top and use the exact position. Trying to steal the red buff. It looks like Porky wants to deal with this one.
Yeah, Vizichachi actually did get himself the red there. Thyak is going on towards Vardax, and they've managed to nuke him down. There is the wish going to be used. Can they actually follow through and get Vizichachi? He's actually just completely ran away, gone onto that top side, and now Power of Evil is actually pushing this mid wave out. Got an ability where these 3 men chasing him down shouldn't be too scary. However, we do have Evelyn coming around the side. They're already recalling out from this one. This is a chance to maybe push those waves out and give a bit of brief respite, I think it is at this stage for Lyon.
They really need something, and they need another miracle fight at this point if they want to stay in the game, because, yeah, Unicorns of Love has maintained full control, and as we saw when they pushed that inhibitor, Kikis' Kayle is ridiculously powerful right now, and they don't really have an answer. They don't have a good way of CCing him to slow down the onslaught of damage. LeBlanc basically requires an exhaust or a flash away when she goes in. That's not even to count the 4 offensive item Lucian or the near 300 CS Aurelia. Even with all that, it still takes him like 20 seconds to kill the crab.
Crab OP, that's for sure. So, mid lane is being covered by Lyon at the moment. They're not going to push out too much. Red buff's being picked up by Vardax down the bottom. So, Unicorns of Love just consolidating, getting themselves ready for the next push, the inevitable push. You can see the super minions still going along that bottom lane. They're going to get dealt with by Sia this time around. And actually, Thyak just being used as a mobile ward right now. And keeping those waves cleared. Is he going to try and do anything? I think they've noticed that there's a couple of Unicorns of Love split off right now. They're going to see if they can try to get any damage down. He's completely out of position. He's going to try and flank.
They need to be able to pull this one off. It is very low probability of working, but if they can somehow time it where Unicorns of Love is trapped in the turret while Eve comes in. But they gave it away by pushing forward. They know where Eve is. They found him.
dead. No, not going to get away from that one. And now the rest of the team starts to collapse in. It's going to be Dodo that has to flash. Maple Street also was pushed away from that one using both of his summoner spells. And that just spells danger. Porky actually trying to recall here all the way over by the red buff. They might lose the turret before Porky can actually get around. He's got his ultimate, but that will be charging into certain death, you have to feel. There's the IEM going down. Top turret, don't forget, is super, super low. I feel like they could have just probably tanked that one up, but they got plenty of minions to do that for them. This is going to be 3 inhibitors by the looks of it going down with nothing to say about it. Vizzy Chachi actually diving in deep. They're going for Maple Street, who will know. A last-second wish.
Just about hanging on there. Porky still yet to use that ultimate. Where's he going to use it? Will it end eventually matter? He does pop it out, but it's quickly blocked off by the intervention. He's going to get dropped down just on the top there. Power of Evil comes in, gets himself the 9th kill of the game, and the rest of the team just push on through for victory here. They will seemingly make it through to the semi-final. It will be Team Solo Mid that they will face, and Unicorns of Love, well, they look strong against Lyon, but they're not completely confident just yet in their abilities.
41 minutes and 20 seconds, and I can safely say about time as far as finishing that one off. They had definite missteps throughout the game, but at the end of the day, they completely outscaled them compositionally. 2-0, not really too much to complain about of Unicorns of Love, but a lot to clean up before they face their next round opponent, Team Soul Mid.
Yeah, who will have probably been watching that and said, you know, they've got some very, very bright players in this one, you know, some real shining stars, if you like. However, are they quite ready to take on TSM, who themselves, you know, managed to push through, I'd say do well at Worlds, considering how, you know, things panned out for them, went up against Samsung White and were one of only 2 teams, let's not forget, to actually take a map off them. Slight roster changes, though. That might be Unicorns of Love's chance, I feel. However, you said it yourself, that once they're in the lead, they have to really capitalize on that.
The one big thing for me, for Unicorns of Love, the one big thing they have going for them is nobody really knows what to ban against them, because seemingly they have a lot of really big champion pool. Looking at Power of Evil, very similar pool to Bjergsen so far, with what we've seen, of course, the LeBlanc Syndra, very much in Bjergsen Street, so they could be contesting with one another. Vizichachi throws a spanner in the works that most top laners don't have. And that's the fact that he seemingly has a lot of champions that unorthodox champions he'll happily pull out.
That's the thing, because if you use a ban on his unorthodox champion, he also plays
the standard Aurelia.
The standard OP champions. Gnar was what we saw right there. That limits your bans against Power of Evil, which gives them a lot of strategic diversity. But as Joe was saying as well, just the overall team synergy and strategy is a little bit missing right there. Not having the timers for the Dragon Control down, not necessarily having the right war control, are the things they kind of have to work on here. You don't have long to work on it before TSM.
But you've also got to keep in mind that they know that TSM are watching this. Do you show your whole hand in a match where you are considered big favorites as an LCS team going up against Lyon? Not sure. We're going to find out, obviously, later on, as TSM will face off against Unicorns of Love. But for now, we're going to go down to the stage where Shox is with one of the players from the Unicorns of Love.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm indeed joined here by Power of Evil, the mid laner for the Unicorns of Love. Well, you guys were voted in here by the fans, and it seems that the fans are also very happy to have you guys after that performance. Tell me your general impressions after your very first games on this stage versus Lyon Gaming.
It's insane. I never played in like such a stadium. It's great.
Well, they absolutely love you. You guys put down a great performance. However, we know you guys are very aggressive, and it was a little hard for you guys to close it out in games 1 and especially games 2. And it seemed like Lyon could come back. What do you think you could have done better in that second game?
So first of all, the Oriana ult was really impressive. We overchased, and she just blowed us up all. So first of all, we needed to pay more attention on the ball, and we couldn't finish the game because they had a lot of zone potential, so we just went for the Baron and the catches.
Yeah, absolutely. Very clear analysis of what you guys had to do. You guys had Kikis coming in here in the jungle. He's so experienced. I saw him with his notebook before the game. Did he kind of take on the role of strategist and leader in the team?
Yeah, he's helping a lot. He's writing all the stuff down, picks, bans, what we should mostly go for. So he's helping a lot for the team.
Yeah, and it absolutely shows. Yet it's not perfect yet, and you have the game versus Team Solo Mid coming up later, and well, they have a lot of fans here too. A very exciting matchup is one of you versus Bjergsen. Is that something you've thought about, especially knowing what a powerhouse he is?
I'm really excited to play versus Bjergsen. I want to win against Lyon, mostly because I want to face Bjergsen in mid lane next game.
And how big do you think your chances are to get into the final and beat Team Solo Mid, as a final question?
I have actually no clue. We just perform as good as we can and try to win.
Yeah, well, we know that you guys are aggressive. We love to see you guys play. Thank you very much. Give it up one more time for Unicorns of Love, guys. Well, great stuff. We will, of course, be seeing them later, but for now, we're going to go over to our experts to break down that second game.
Thank you very much, Shocks, and an exciting game it was. Unicorns of Love seeming like they just had the strategies to go through. Both teams seeming like they're kind of figuring out what to do on the big stage right now. We did, as we said, see a little bit of scrambling back and forth. It seemed like after that huge shockwave we saw at 25 minutes, it almost changed the game. That kind of gave some false sense of security to Lyon Gaming, and it showed just they wanted to get to the next fight. So those little mistakes are still coming out, and these players trying to hit the big scene. What was your take on the beginning of the game? Obviously, Kickass, we just heard there, trying to take control, a little bit of different stuff, and he got into the jungle, but messed that up a bit.
This was something that Monty actually kind of touched on in the last game, that people might become predictable, and that's exactly what happened. They knew that the bot lane of Lyon started on the Gromp, and then assumed that Evelyn was going to be on Krugs on the other side of the map. And that gave Kikis an opportunity to basically sneak in, knowing that the ward had expired, as Monty picked up on, that he could sneak in there, drop a ward on the blue, and wait. I actually think it was slightly Thiak's error that he didn't check that brush on the way in, because that really messed him up.
Yeah. Well, it's just playing on a player's assumptions right there, because if we talk about it, they only dropped the 4 wards. Unicorns dropped 4 wards at level 1 instead of the usual 5, and they waited until that timeout on the wards, so he started at red.
Right.
And so just walked over there, managed to drop his trinket ward right on top of the blue buff, and just waited and sprung the trap on him, and that was pretty devastating to Thiak's early jungling. So just a smart play by Kikis, powered by the assumptions that the other jungler was making. And I think we're going to see more and more of this as we move on, but definitely a fun little moment.
I'm going to actually have to beg to differ on that. I don't think that it really hurt him that much. If you look at the CS in the mid game, they had exactly even CS, and he didn't really get a kill off that or anything like that. They blew a flash, but it looked like he just farmed it out just fine. Maybe it hurt like some of his early game pressure, but I don't think it hurt him that bad.
Well, 3 buff as well.
Well, 3 buff doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things now, because before in the old patch, you're like, oh, you got my buff, that means you're not going to be level 3, and have a level advantage on you. But now you can just clear, a whole side of the thing, and you can hit level 3. You can hit level 3 off of doing 3 camps. So I think triple buffing is not as hard hitting as it used to be.
All right, I thought you wanted to say something, Monty, but didn't. So this game, obviously, Lyon not really able to perform up to task, but we're going to have to watch Unicorns of Love now playing up against Team Solo Mid to come in. What are we thinking about this? Obviously, kick us in the jungle against Santorin, but Power of Evil and Bjergsen in the mid lane.
So I would like... Power of Evil's had a lot of kind of momentum and praise coming into this tournament, and people were expecting a lot of him. In the first game, I don't think we really seen that at all, if that's fair to say. But going into the second game, I seen a lot more confidence coming from Power of Evil. It was making a lot more opportunities happen with LeBlanc, going a lot more aggressive. And even in team fights, you would see him going for that extra dash in when maybe some people wouldn't do that, which was really refreshing to see.
Yeah,
so.
Monty got his balls.
Yeah, he did. I was very happy to see that. We saw more teleport plays this game. And, you know, something that I wanted to touch on here is that one thing that is less reliable now than it ever has been is that gold total in the game. And you could see that, yes, we did have a big gold deficit, but we have to remember that the dragon doesn't give the gold anymore. And so when you have all of those dragon stacks that were on Lyon Gaming while Unicorn of Love were still struggling with it, that translates directly into gold, because those percentage stats, just for an example, 300 AP based off of gold efficiency, if you have 300 AP and you've got the 8% dragon buff, that's worth about 550 gold, a little less. And if you have 200 AD, that's worth about 575 gold. And so when we see these big leads, but we know that one team has that first buff, and it's really that first buff that's the most important. And I think the one mistake here that Lyon made, and many teams I think will be making this mistake in this new patch, is that if you have the one dragon buff and you're sitting at 25 minutes when these buffs start to become super efficient, you have to prevent the enemy team from getting that first dragon, because that is just a tremendous gold swing.
right now. Saint, one last question for you before we move on to the Pain Cloud9 game. We're actually going to throw it down to Shocks. How do you feel now seeing Unicorns of Love? They're going to fare in the LCS. Is this the team that's going to do well? Can they represent the hype? We obviously have more games to see of them, but from what you've seen so far.
I think they are a good team with a lot of potential, but I think they definitely need to work on just progressing the game. I mean, in the games where they had the lead, they weren't really vision controlling to get a pick, and they weren't really trying to like push it to end the game. Like they had the power spikes on their champions. LeBlanc was able to literally one-shot almost anybody, and they just don't really push it. So I think that's like a confidence thing. As you play more together as a team and figure out your play style, you gain that confidence.
All right, and next up, we do have Pain Gaming versus Cloud9. We're going to take a moment and throw it down to the stage to Shocks, who's with Cloud9's manager.
Thank you very much, Rivington. I'm actually in the crowd here with all the awesome fans as I'm joined by Jack. Now, Jack, it's been a while since I've talked to you, since Worlds actually, and I'd like to ask you, what has your team been up to? Have they been resting on their laurels, or has it been very hard training from day one after all?
So we took the rest of the month off in October, but as soon as November started, we got back to scrimming and working hard. We saw that this event could have been a possible thing for us, and we really wanted to perform well if we were actually voted in. So that was like our top priority to get ready for this event.
Well, you talk about scrimming hard, and you got to keep that fire burning. And whilst other teams have made maybe changes to their lineup, you guys are still your good old Cloud9 lineup. How do you keep going with that same team?
We're pretty much a family at this point. We really care a lot about each other, and amazingly enough, they just have the fire and the passion built in. I don't have to do anything special. They just let them go, and they do it.
Well, they will have to show that in a second because they're going to be taking on Pain Gaming, who absolutely decimated their qualifier over there in Brazil. So how do you think that matchup's going to go for the guys?
I'm really excited to play them. We feel like I have a special connection with Brazil after the whole Gaboom stuff. So we're really excited to be playing and support Brazil.
Don't remind me of that. Finally, you guys actually founded Cloud9 right here in San Jose. So what's it like being here in the SAP Center, seeing it filled up and your guys playing on stage?
We couldn't be happier to be here. I mean, when I heard IEM was going to be in San Jose, like, we have to be here. This is where we started. So to be actually here today is fantastic. To have the fan support to actually be here was amazing. So thank you to everybody for making this happen.
Well, 42% of fan votes to get you guys here. Well, I'll be looking forward to seeing you guys play versus Pain Gaming. Thank you very much. And as for you guys at home, remember that you can join in on the conversation by tweeting using the hashtag IEM and following us at IEM, facebook.com/IEM, or checking out all our videos at youtube.com/IEM. We're going to take a short break, but we'll be right back with Cloud9 versus Pain Gaming.